What's up? It's your girl, Dr. Tureka Lewis, otherwise known as Dr. Lou, your partner in success and progress. And I help people to boss up in their lives, careers, and businesses using education, training, and other tools. I'm so happy to be with you again today, going live with you on a Sunday. I made a commitment to be more present with you guys and to share more free content, but to also go live more often and just chat it up and talk with you. And this is part of me keeping that promise. So we were together last week. We had a great conversation about, and I call it a dialogue because there were a lot of questions asked, a lot of communication back and forth. And we definitely talked about critical race theory. That's not what we're talking about tonight. It's not going to be as heavy a night, I don't believe. But that's a good thing because I kind of need to just relax with you guys sometimes. So anyway, but we do still have some very important things to talk about. Um, and I've told you who I am. I've told you what I do, right? And I'm just happy to be on with you right now. I know, according to the title line, we're going to be talking about Haiti, hot topics, and self care. All right. And I don't plan to stay on with you for very long. I just want to double check and make sure that you guys can hear me and see me. So you'll see me kind of going back and forth. Yeah, so I definitely know that you can hear me on YouTube and Facebook. Let's check you out. Uh, let's see here. So anyway, what's up? What's up? What's up? Let's see who's joining us right now. And I definitely see that I'm on. And you can hear me on Facebook. Okay, so we're in and we'll go ahead and get started. As usual, if you're watching me live, make sure you say hello in the comments. I'll definitely be keeping up with the chat box. Don't forget to just drop a comment there. Let me know what you're thinking and feeling about anything that we happen to be talking about. And I'd be happy to make sure that we include your thoughts in the conversation and that they are addressed. If you are watching via the replay, make sure you drop replay in the comments. And you're still going to want to put your comments in the chat box as you would, and they will get responded to. I definitely do all of that myself. So right now it's important to me to not just be handing that off to a team, but to be connected with you. This is my connection with you, right? I mean, when else do we get to see each other and talk to each other? So let's go ahead and jump right into it and talk a little bit about Haiti. And I'm not going to be going into heavy detail. I'm not trying to break it down or explain it to you. I don't consider myself a news correspondent or any other in any other type of position that would mean that I'm your sole source of information. But instead, I just try to come at you with perspective, with information that I may have that I feel like is unique or that the public's not getting, or something that I just feel, if it's not of value to you, I'm not saying it. And having said that, it's really important that we look at what's happening right now in Haiti and how it's being covered, I think. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about when I say, Haiti or what's happening in Haiti, the president was killed earlier this week in his private quarters, in his private residence in the Capitol building. And he was, there has been a lot of speculation about who did it, what they did, and why. And I kind of want to talk to you from the perspective of just being a member of the community, of your community, and what this means, because these types of topics are ignored by a great many people in the world. And there's one phrase that comes to mind when I hear that, and that's really kind of the only reason I'm talking about it at all tonight. Like I said, I don't plan on going into explicit detail. I don't pretend to be your source for news. But if you don't know anything about what I'm talking about, I do suggest that you take a gander at it. And I'm really kind of speaking to those of you that are kind of with me on the fact that it's important for us to at least be aware of what's going on in the world, but also those who agree with me, as I have in times past, in terms of not necessarily just hanging on every word of the news and allowing the news to drive my day. I don't do that. But when it comes to situations like this, the saying that comes to mind is the African proverb that it's a foolish man that sleeps while his neighbor's house is on fire. This is a major issue, a major phenomenon, or a major instance that has happened to the global community. And there are going to be reverberations. We're going to be impacted by this on some level or another. So while I may not be the person that's going to sit in front of the TV and watch the news 24/7 to find out each little detail as it is revealed. You may not even be a person that trusts the news, regardless of which news channel you watch. But the bottom line is, try to at least be aware of what's going on, because there are people that are more closely impacted than you think. Your next door neighbor may be more closely impacted than you think, and being aware will allow you to be a more empathetic citizen. So that's my thoughts on that. Yeah. So something major did happen. It's something that's going to impact the global community as a whole. And being aware of what's going on and having a perspective that facilitates positive resolution to whatever's happening is just going to make you part of the solution, as opposed to, more people being part of the problem. So I'm going to say that and leave it at that. And that's all I really wanted to say about Haiti. If those of you want to have an opinion, have a question, have a concern, you're welcome to either message me or comment, and I'd be happy to respond. Going on, I also wanted to talk to you guys. When I said other hot topics, I really don't have like a long list of hot topics. Tonight, I'm really just, the news about Haiti to me it's a heavy topic, regardless of how you look at it, whether it's because of simply what happened to the president and his wife. She was also injured, but also the Haitian community, because at this point, they're in a really tough spot. It's a heavy thing. So I say that to say this news is something light, which still has connections to Haiti in a sense as well. And that is, everybody's been talking about the spelling bee champion, the new spelling bee champion. And she was crowned earlier this week. I forget exactly what day it was. I just remember waking up to the news feed telling me that Zelia Avant-Garde had been minted as the new spelling bee champion for the national competition. And that was encouraging for me as a mother of an adult child, but also two young daughters, who I immediately, when I saw her jump up and spin around, for those of you that haven't seen the footage, I'm sure there's a news feed somewhere, like every news outlet is reporting it and sharing the picture, the video footage of her when she won. My heart immediately was warm, but also I saw my girls in her, right down to her hair, how she had it styled. But there are a few things that come to mind when I see Zelia's story, because I did read up on her a little bit, as I think it's a good thing to do. Is when you see success stories or people that have accomplished anything in life, it's a good thing to kind of find out as much as you can about them and how they accomplished it, in order to encourage you on your journey. And so a few mental notes, a few life lessons come to mind that I think we can take away from her story and use to encourage ourselves. Number one, don't let anybody box you in. And the reason that comes to mind with her is because she's a Guinness Book record holder in two areas, both relating to basketball, because she's actually a basketball prodigy. And she hopes to one day play for the WNBA. That's important because we're usually given the notion that kids don't excel in both sports and academia. That couldn't be further from the truth. It doesn't have to be that way. I do know from experience, because I have a very tall son. And when he was going through school, there was always a push for him to be involved in sports, which he was, but for him to make that his sole path to success in life. And we would constantly resist the urge to do that, not because he didn't love sports, because he absolutely did, but he was also good at other things. And it was important to us for him to have the opportunity to excel in various and sundry areas and not be limited, and to decide when the time was right, which one of those paths he wanted to lean more heavily into, and the other ones be just there for pleasure or support, or, fade away in the background, or whatever the case may be. So the bottom line was, we really had to resist that. And I'm watching people, the homeschooling community is excited about it and wanting to claim her as one of their own. The charter school community is wanting to do the same, because I believe she has a reporting charter school. For those of you that don't know what that is, in a lot of states, you can have a charter school that sort of supports your homeschooling efforts and verifies your record keeping. It makes it much easier if you're thinking about if your child is going to one day go to college, to document their progress, but also to get support and resources and materials made available to you without them being a part of the public school system. And so I believe that's the case, because I've been told that she's a homeschooler, but also that there's a charter school that, of course, is taking credit for her success, as who wouldn't be surprised if they would do that. And I say that to say, so she's not boxed in that way, but the pressure to report on her as one thing or another. I'm already seeing parents arguing in the comments about the fact that that in some outlets she's a charter school student, in others she's a homeschool student. In some outlets they're reporting her as being an athlete who is exceptional, who can also spell. And then, of course, those who argue that academics is more important are very upset about that. And I think that that kind of speaks to the fact that we need to just kind of let it go and let her be successful. She's successful at all of these things, and she shouldn't have to choose one or the other at all. But in particular, right now, when she is 14 years old, let's just applaud her success. It looks to me like she is a person who is going to be successful at whatever she chooses. She could choose underwater basket weaving next week with the attitude that she seems to keep exemplifying. She'll be great at that, and she'll win a contest or break a record in that. And that should be applauded in students and not discouraged. There's too much pressure to pick a thing at an early age when grown adults don't know what they want to do in their lives. So I think that's really cool. Another thing I encourage you to do with her story is show your kids. If you have kids, if you have nieces, if you have nephews, or be encouraged as an adult, because what she reminds us is of our unlimited potential. Period. She was watching, my understanding is when she was 10, she was spelling along with the spelling bees or watching them. She showed interest, but that she's only been really working at this for 2 years and she's already the national champion. But then again, she's 14 and she's already a Guinness book record holder in 2 areas. So again, that speaks to her spirit of excellence, and that's to be applauded. Also, don't be afraid to do things differently. I saw comments in some of the news outlets reporting about her being unique and asking, is it possible that there was, this developmental challenge or another one? And I'm like, she's just her. Most of the things that we see as normal, we perceive as normal, the people who are normal have to work to become that too. So she's her, you know what I'm saying? And use this as an opportunity to encourage your kids to express whoever they are in healthy ways. Also, don't be afraid to fail. The one key trait that I have seen in people who are successful or competitive or accomplish things like she has is that they are willing to face failure in order to get to success. In many cases, they've already failed several times. So I do think that it's super duper important to remember that failure is a part of the process, and accepting that doesn't mean that you're increasing your chances of failure. It actually is the opposite, because now you will relax and really give your best and you won't be worried about failure. Worrying about failure is like the runner that's constantly looking over their shoulder. They could be so much faster if they were looking ahead. Also, don't be afraid to compete. We like to act as if a good person is a person who never competes or is kind and caring only. But it is possible to be competitive and also be a kind and caring person. Teach your kids that it's okay to compete, even if the person they're competing with is themselves and their former accomplishments. Lastly, fulfill your potential. Not just for parents talking to their kids, but also as we look in the mirror. Remember to not allow potential to be left by the wayside. The last thing you want is to look back over your life and feel like you carried it all with you, but you never released it. You'd rather be worn out than rusted out. maybe that's a good analogy. Maybe it's not. The bottom line is fulfill your potential. Give your best. If you find something that makes your heart sing, try it, do it, be it. And, those are my thoughts on the Spelling Bee champion, Zelia Avant-Garde. I'm so super happy for her. As a parent of daughters who remind me of her, I am proud. But also, just as a person who's always looking for inspiration in other people's stories, I am encouraged. And last but not least, I have a self-care message for you guys tonight. I just don't want to forget. It was in my heart to make sure to share this week. And I'm also going to be going live on my Instagram channel in just a little bit to talk about it in more depth. And that is, for self-care this week, challenge yourself to stop proving yourself and start honoring yourself. Look at the areas in your life where you may be trying to prove yourself to others and you didn't even realize it, and exchange that effort to prove to an effort to honor. In other words, I am already worthy of good. So let me honor that, as opposed to constantly saying that I'm looking at life and trying to prove that I am good or good enough. Because most people think that trying to prove something is okay, because it implies that it's already true and you just need to prove it. So yeah, it is a step in the right direction. It's better than not believing in yourself. But a person who's truly confident doesn't have to prove himself or herself or themselves. They just are. I never walk into a room and feel the need to prove that I am tall. I'm almost 6 feet tall and I live in America, and I present as female, so I'm tall for a woman. Most people think that without me saying it. It doesn't matter. I use that as just an irrelevant fact or trait about myself because it's easy to use that as an example. But the bottom line is when you're confident about something, you don't have to prove it. Don't prove, honor. So it's great to be with you tonight. I see a couple of you in the room with me. A couple of comments, but nothing that needed to be shared or answered. If you are watching this via the replay, please remember to put hashtag replay in the comments. It helps me to kind of get an idea of when people are enjoying my content. Thank you so much for spending a few moments with me on a Sunday night. I will see you next weekend at some point. It's your girl, Dr. Tureka Lewis, otherwise known as Dr. Lou, your partner in success and progress. As always, I love you. I believe in you. And for now, before I forget, a couple of things that I have coming up. I have a new course that's been out for a minute now. I did a soft launch a while back, but I haven't really had the opportunity to do the full launch for it. It's called Better Money, Career, and Relationships. And I will definitely drop the link to that in the comments for anybody that's interested. And there is a womb healing retreat coming up that I have been honored to be asked to be one of the speakers for. That's coming up really soon. I will definitely put the link. The registration is free for that. And I'll put the link in the comments for that as well if you guys are interested. It'll also be for those of you that are on my mailing list. When I send out my email for this week, I will be definitely including that information in there too. We just went live and did just, a preliminary chat about it, just to talk about what I'm going to be talking about. And we had a ball. Healing One LLC is the group that is sponsoring the retreat. And I'm really excited about what they're doing in the lives of their clients. So I can't wait to jump on and talk some more about something that I feel is super important. And that's just kind of healing so that you can be successful, so that you can boss up and be a leader in your own life. So until next time, I'll see you soon. I'm out.